Today we have the following gospel reading. Then one from the crowd said to him, to Christ, "Teacher, tell my brother to divide the inheritance with me." But Jesus answered to him, "Man, who made me a judge or arbitrator over you?" And he said to them, "Take heed and beware of covetousness, for one's life does not consist in the abundance of the things he possesses." Then he spoke a parable to them, saying, "The ground of a certain rich man yielded plentifully. And he thought within himself, saying, What shall I do, since I have no room to store my crops? So he said, I will do this. I will pull down my barns and build greater. And there I will store all my crops and my goods. And I will say to my soul, Soul, you have many goods laid up for many years. Take your ease, eat, drink, and be merry. But God said to him, Fool, this night your soul will be required of you. Then whose will those things be which you have provided? So is he who lays up treasure for himself and is not rich toward God. The Gospel of Luke, chapter 12, verses 13 to 21. My friends, it is my duty as a priest to preach the gospel, and I like to do that. But once in a while, I find myself in trouble. Because in the Gospels, we find parables like this one. And at the same time, we live in a culture where if you ask people what is the most important thing in life, most of them will say money or the riches. And if you are one of those people, please keep in mind that I'm only a messenger. I only deliver the message of the gospel. And as you know, it is not right to kill the messenger, even if you disagree with the message. And to avoid any misunderstanding on this matter, the Bible doesn't say that there is something wrong with being rich. Just in opposite, many of the saints in the Bible were rich people. But the Bible says that there are certain things which we must put above the riches. Those things, as you know, are called virtues. And if we don't put virtue above the riches, God will call us fools. And we will call ourselves fools as well, after some time, maybe. And saying this, let me point out at least 5 reasons because of which the Lord called the man from the parable a fool. First, it was folly for him to let his mind rise with his condition. 1 year his ground brought forth plentifully, more plentifully than usually. But it doesn't mean that the next year it will be the same. Times of scarcity commonly follow times of plenty. And when there is plenty, it is better to stack some of it for years of scarcity that may come. Secondly, it was folly for him to think to ease his care by building new barns. The building of the new barns itself would but increase his care. And when he finished building, there were other cares that would still attend him. The greater the barns, the greater the cares. On third place, he thought he had many goods laid up for many years, as if the bigger barns would be safer than those he had. In an hour's time, the barns might be burned to the ground with all that is laid up in them. There are calamities and misfortunes against which there is no defense. And also, few years may make a great change. As the Bible says, moth and rust corrupt, and thieves break through and steal. On fourth place, he thought that the best use of his plenty was to eat, drink, and be merry. In other words, to indulge the flesh and to gratify the sensual appetite. It was his understanding that he lived to eat and did not eat to live, and that the happiness of man consisted in the highest of pleasurableness. It is a human wisdom of old that says, pleasures steal from the mind of man. Sadly, many young people these days are being taught to believe that the meaning of life is in having as many pleasures as one can afford. There are many other foolish thoughts in the mind of this man. For example, he decided to pull down the old barns. In many situations, it is wiser first to build the new barns, to build what is new, and then to think what to do with the old one. Also, he thought to satisfy his soul with eating and drinking and being merry. He did not distinguish between the needs of the body and the needs of the soul, which are very different. But I would like to draw your attention to one last thing. The man from the parable resolved the matter of the future very categorically. He started his thoughts very resolutely, as if he was the master of the time and of fate. I will do this, said he to himself first. In other words, in his thinking, he did not consider neither the will of God nor the secrets and changes of the providence. He did not consider that our time and everything actually is in God's hand, not in our own. And if there is one thing which we would wish to remember from this sermon today, I suggest we remember this one. Preemptory projects are foolish projects. Inflating the minds of the young people with self-confidence breeds only disappointments after some time. Many young people learn how to be cunning these days, but they do not learn how to be wise. And wisdom can begin with the understanding that man is small, but God is great. There are many things we don't know, but God knows everything. With God, everything is possible, says the popular wisdom. Without God, nothing is possible. That is why I say that it is a good idea to start every new project or every new endeavor with a humble prayer to God. To Him be glory